Hi, welcome back everyone. So in the last episode, I was talking about how I came to understand that I was embodying and flowing with the energy of Christ consciousness within me. And by defining the energy, I was also talking about how that energy within me was, I started to feel that it's much more renewable, it's much higher vibrational. In fact, it's the highest vibrational energy I've ever felt. And in many ways, I could then come to resonate with the energy being that of altruistic love and compassion. So I think what a lot of people are asking is, oh, then what is this definition of altruistic love and compassion? And how is it that in itself is a renewable energy? How do we even know? And how do we get into that state, right? So lots of people were really asking that. I think today, that's why I want to be here to break it apart. And I'm going to do the best that I can, because truly, it sounds very theoretical and scholarly if I were to put it into words. But when I was feeling it the whole time, it honestly took me quite a while to come into realization and understanding. So like, again, it's gonna be, just bear with me if this sounds a little bit confusing for a while. Okay, so let me ask the question first. If I were to ask you, what is love? What do you think love is? I think most people would say, oh, love is a feeling, warm, fuzzy feeling, the feeling of like butterflies in my stomach because I am in love. Okay, that is defined as love by some people. It's a feeling. Some might even categorize lust as love, because if they feel the need to be physically intimate with somebody and sex and all that stuff, then they link it up with how that person make them feel in a, even if sex is not present, then they can say, oh, altogether that is love. Fine. And then some people, they consider love as a kind of a gesture, like giving a gift, oh, and asking what's my love language. I like to be hugged. I like to be given gifts. I like to be read poetry too, like to them that is love, okay? And so I think the most common understanding of love is all these things that I just mentioned. But not many people realize and would think that love actually flows as a form of energy, and love in itself is a spirit. I liken the energy of love to a very high vibrational, renewable, because it grows in itself, and it somehow, it's like you need to water it with something else. I'll go into that. Water it with something else to make it grow non-stop as a renewable energy, but I'll get there. I just want to say that love is, as an energy, renews itself, and I liken it as a very grand and pure form of cosmic currency. If you're asking me, what would I want to have this energy and this currency of cosmic love for? I have many, many ways I can answer you. I can say that as a spiritual worker, as an alchemist, as a magic practitioner, love as an energy is like me using gold to conduct electricity. It's high vibrational, it's pure, it's renewable, it lasts as long as I want it to last. It's clean, it's clean fuel. And again, me doing the work that I do, I want that quality. And I bring in that quality. So for me, it matters this way. And I might even entice you a little, if this actually works, is that having this energy keeps me looking young and vibrant. I can say that for a fact, that when you're flowing with that energy, and I know that this flows within me, I am revitalized and kept youthful, and I rejuvenate in this energy. Okay, so answering those questions now. If you're wondering, what is this for? What is this whole love energy, pure love energy for? Okay, but I want you to know that it is not to be confused with that former, like that common terminology love, common definition love that I'm referring to. No. This cosmic love, this pure cosmic love energy that is in resonance with Christ consciousness, it's not your everyday definition of love. Like I said, giving gifts. Yes, that falls into some degree. I'm not saying there's no merit to it. Giving gifts does conjure like really positive feelings when you give and you receive hugs and like intimacy, all that with the person you love, of course, soulmate activity. I'm not saying there's no merit in that stuff. There are. But I have said this before in an earlier video of mine. If you're able to bring love in, even at times when it is the hardest, okay? It's just like gratitude. Something is worth something when it is the hardest to produce it and you still are able to produce it, okay? So let me repeat myself. If you're able to resonate with true, deep, altruistic, compassionate love, even when it is the hardest, meaning when things are challenging you, to encourage you to not have love present at that very moment, but yet you're still able to alchemize those feelings and bring that love in. You graduate into the flow of altruistic and compassionate love. It is a higher state of love. It's a purer state of love. And that is what I call cosmic love energy, which brings us to embodying Christ consciousness. Okay? Please leave it in the comments if even up to this point I have not made myself clear enough. So I'm going to say that it's not an everyday thing for everyday people, and I'm not saying it's entirely impossible if you want to try. In fact, it is very possible and very, we are all capable of getting there. It's a matter of choice. It's a matter of perspectives. It's a matter of cultivation. Most individuals grow up with a slew of products that occur in our lifetime, even from the day we are born as a child. We go through so much, and everything accumulates itself as some form of toxicity or scar or hurt or trauma that gets imprinted in our system. The energetic body of your soul, of your being, it's constantly resonating. The energy is like, imagine your body is that vessel, your body is that vessel, and for all the things that happens to you, all the goods and all the bads, all the way from childbirth until whatever age you are now, if we do not understand how to clarify our system, how to work with that energy, all the junk energy, junk energy, I loosely coined it now, is just going to flow in your system. On good days, they don't show up. But on bad days, they manifest themselves in the ugliest ways. Right? So that's why I said, on good days, loving is not difficult. Finding the best version of yourself on good days to love is not difficult. But when it's actually challenging, is the work of the alchemy. You're not being called into the laboratory to get that work done on good days. You are only called into the laboratory of life, to get the alchemical work done, or transmuting difficult situations, feelings, intentions, ego manifesting itself. You're only called to do it when the challenge hits you, to put this test in your face to say, are you going to choose and work through it and come out with the crystallized understanding of what you're meant to, thereby being able to receive and resonate that energy of altruistic, compassionate love and gratitude, or you let the test come and wash you over like a wave. Many people find it difficult to alchemize. In fact, they even find it difficult to see the wave coming, to see the wave of troubles coming and how it's going to wash them over. They just think, okay, it's going to be a full-on wipeout. I'm just going to drown in my sorrows. I'm just going to drown in the trouble. I'm just going to drown in my anger. Okay? A lot of people do not realize that they have it in them, and they could, if they tried, to come up and triumph over these moments of difficult challenges, like waves washing you over. Many people do not realize they can. It's because I'm sure you heard of this, giving up before the war has already begun. The war has already been lost if you give up before you even step out into the field. Because it takes a lot of self-belief as well, okay? So a lot of this drives us back to shadow work. I did a poll, actually. I did a poll recently on my IG asking people, what is the opposite of love? And of course, I get different answers. And I would say because of the category I put, the different options I put in the poll, I asked what is the opposite of love. There's ego, hate, lust, fear, apathy. Okay, every one of those got some votes here and there. However, I think if most people think that the opposite of love is hate, I would say that is a very popularized answer. Hate is actually a derivative of other things that is born from the human psyche. Hate is actually a much more advanced second or third tier level manifestation of a very basic instinctual phenomena that all humans are capable of, instinctual, which is fear. Because fear, and if you're familiar with the chakra system, fantastic. If you're not, please bear with me. I'm going to use the chakra as an example because it is true like that. In our chakra system, the most base layer is our root chakra. That place is where you feel your sense of safety. Just like every living creature in this kingdom, humans, animals, and any beings that is sentient to some degree, we all have the first layer of need, which is safety. Safety of a home, safety of not being eaten by a predator, and safety in numbers. Okay, so fear is the most basic category of instinctual emotions that we are all created and born with, unavoidable. And from fear, if we do not learn how to work with it and govern that layer of instinctual emotions, then from fear manifests a whole lot of other second category emotions, which could be lacking, being afraid of, see, I said being afraid of not having something, being afraid of missing out. I will say also greed. Greed, because why? Again, you're fearing you don't have something, so you want more. You're fearing you never have it again, so you're trying to hoard. Ego. Ego is a very interesting category in itself, but I would say ego is also born from, I'll say second category above fear. After fear, you have ego. Because true fear, whereby you're afraid that you are not enough, you're afraid of being put down by others, right? Or being like losing out in competition, fear. Then ego is what goes on top to protect you. Ego is there to almost like a very hard defensive wall. And then, of course, in that hard defensive wall of ego, many other things are born. And I'm going to go into a special segment to say that ego deserves a bigger talk about this, because ego is very required in all of us, however, because it gives us our sense of identity, our sense of individualism. It gives us confidence, actually. If we are not having ego, we might as well not be an individual human being on earth. We would be hive mind if we have no ego. It is because human beings are not like a hive mind setup of structure, societal structure. We're not like bees, we're not like ants, we're not going with hive mind where one will call the shot and everybody will just follow without thinking. Humans actually having ego helps us understand where our individualism and sovereignty lies. So that's the good part. But then, of course, swinging all the way to the other spectrum, ego can manifest itself as all other forms of egoistic emotions and intentions, right? Which then brings me to that third layer, right? Before I lose you, we have fear. Then after fear, you have your greed, lust, greed, lack, ego. Then third level, I feel, is when we start to discuss lust, hate. Okay, because from ego, you give birth to another set that is above. In order to manifest your ego in a way to protect yourself, to gain more for yourself, part of protecting yourself. But in the more extreme way, you then have lust. You then have another category of greed as well. Greed is still there. And you have judgment on others. Right? I think some of you might be very familiar with that. Judgment on others, over-opinionating, which is a form of projection, mirroring, and all the other things. Hate, vitriol, resentment, indifference, apathy, all that comes on that category that is brought forth by ego. Okay, so why am I going on about this thing? Because when we do not have our fear in check, that is when we cannot come into the space of allowing that cosmic energy love, that altruistic, compassionate cosmic energy love to sit in our being. It's at the end of the day, if I can simplify, I will say that it is a lot of cultivating oneself into that focus and its choice, its perspective, its alchemy. Right? So we can choose either to let difficulties wash us over, completely drowning in whatever it comes with, which is letting all those emotions manifest in the ugliest way and bringing us more pain, sorrow, and suffering in our lives, and not knowing what true love actually is or what true love can be. Or we work through that process slowly, allowing ourselves to bring ourselves back into a state of sovereign thinking, sovereign emotions, mind, body, and spirit coming into better resonance and alignment. And only then can we temper ourselves into a space of receiving and flowing in the state of altruistic love and compassion, thereby embodying Christ consciousness. So I know this so far, okay, we're 18 minutes in, and a whole chunk of what I've said all sounds extremely, either sounds esoterically obscure or technical. It is actually very technical. If on days when I'm not technically doing this, like breaking it apart, I'm just living it. And if in the more, again, I'm not Christian. I don't know how many times I have to declare this, but I will say it again if I have to. I just don't want to confuse anyone. Even though I work with the Christ conscious energy, I am not Christian. But I will use this term, which I find that is actually the term anointed. It does make sense of what I'm feeling, of what I'm going through. So I know it's typically very used in the more biblical way, but I'll just say that I do feel that this anointment of having the energy of cosmic love in my work, in my life, and then embodying Christ consciousness as a state of being is high degree, I feel that it's I'm very grateful. So it's a high degree calling, and it is nothing to be played with or taken lightly. And which is why I am extremely careful these days with the kind of output of my work and who I do it with. I am selective, if I can be honest, because it takes a lot of curation of myself and others to make sure that what we produce together, co-creating the results of anybody's growth and pathway towards their destiny, okay, towards whether they are that awakening phase or that ascension phase, all has to be carefully considered and not to be taken lightly. Because I take it as I'm grateful for it, and thereby I want to be able to share the best part of it to whoever needs it. And that's it. I know that in the spiritual work community, in the YouTube sphere, Instagram sphere, there are a lot of people who are coming out to say that they also feel that they are coming into resonance with the Christ conscious energy or the state of being, they embody it. And I think that it is very true. See, I think it's actually funny. Okay, I'm going to say this because I know that people make a joke. People say things like, oh, they use the term second coming of Christ, okay? They say, oh, Jesus did what he did. It was miraculous, marvelous in its own way. And he did, like he was this Messiah that occurred during his period. And then there are people asking themselves nonstop, when is Jesus coming again? When is the second coming of Christ? And it's just almost like people asking, Buddha did what Buddha did and Buddha ascended. When is Buddha coming back again? When is the second coming of Buddha? And so on and so forth. You can say that about many, many other ascended masters, okay? But what I'm saying is they all embody the same thing. They all embody this cosmic love energy. Again, Buddha's not called Buddha Christ because Buddha is just Buddha, and Krishna and many other masters in their own space. I will not name anyone because I do not know enough, but I do know there's a lot of ascended masters in the entire spectrum of this humanity going through the hundreds and thousands of years. Jesus Christ is well known because he did tremendous work. Okay, he did tremendous work, and it was documented, and he has started a whole wave of humanity being saved in that energy that he put out. Okay, Buddha did too, and many others did too. Which is why I'm coming back to this point. Cosmic energy, cosmic level love energy has always existed. And why does it exist? Oh wow, why did I even start asking this question? Because we're 23 minutes into the video. I kind of want to keep it short, but if I ask this now, it's going to be it's going to be a lot. But okay, I'll try and summarize. Okay, God help me. Cosmic energy love has always existed. It existed prior to Christ. It existed prior to Buddha and all the other ascended masters prior to them, in fact. It has existed. Because it is born out of when people choose to take that compassionate path. It is born out of choice. It is born out of the choices of love rather than the lower vibrational activities. Just as there's the energy of greed, lust, ego, fear, anxiety, all these lower vibrational energies, when accumulated enough in the existence of the universe, okay, they form themselves to be an energetic field that is cosmic. It can't be avoided. It's produced, and it just sits there floating in the cosmic space. Whoever then resonates with that feeling down the road, which is many, pulls those energy onto themselves. they magnetize the energy back onto themselves. It is their resonance, their frequency calls in those energy to themselves, which is why we always say, be careful what you think, be careful what you feel, be careful what you tell yourself, be careful the words that you speak, because all that is magic. And when we say it's magic, we don't mean woo-woo. We mean that when you are resonating that sort of sentiments, you are magnetizing those kind of energy. And you thereby create the situation for yourself. And in New Age, it's called co-creating your reality. Now, onto the part whereby whenever you, as any persons, any human being, when challenged, chose the path of higher vibrational energy, whereby they exercise altruistic gratitude, love, compassion, and thereby elevating their frequency, they produce and form the larger body of cosmic love energy. There you go. So that's why love is an energy, it's an entity in itself. And in the many different spaces and cultural settings of humanity, these very significant spiritual leaders, guides, avatars, masters, descended into their incarnation on earth, taking a chunk of their energy with them and embodying it for that part of their lives. And because they come with a mission, and the mission is that they are able to resonate that level of cosmic love to the extent it allows them to elevate more human beings to that energy. It is a balancing out of cosmic energies. Oh, I felt like I'm continuously opening new topics with every sentence I say. I don't want to deviate. I just want to say at this point, I hope that I'm able to paint that picture. If you're able to visualize. Okay, one day I have more budget, I will have animation. But today, I just want you all to visualize in the grand cosmic, like infinite space, there are many bodies of cosmic energy, right? From fear, which is the big kahuna that produces all the other subsets of cosmic energies on the lower vibrations. And then the big kahuna on the highest possible vibration is cosmic love. Okay? So Christ conscious embodiment is when you resonate with that. Okay, something tells me I need to wrap this up here because I've said so much. I'm afraid that it is deviating in all directions. I just want to keep today's video to talking about how to technically get into that space and come closer to the space of embodying Christ conscious energy. You cannot. Wow, I just want to leave this one last thing. You cannot pay for it. Meaning you can't go pay some place to wave their fingers at you and have it, yeah? You know what I'm talking about. You can't meditate to just have it. Meditation is part of the work to come into. It's part of the shadow work part actually. But you cannot just sit there, meditate all day long and say, I'm cultivating myself to get that energy. Not really. Okay? But yes, meditating helps. You cannot just want it and say that I have it. Okay, and I want to say this one last one. No disrespect to any Christians or Catholics out there, but you don't just have Christ conscious energy if you are Christian. Okay, it's not like, oh, I'm born Christian. Oh no, I got baptized. Oh no, I just like I'm with a church now. I got baptized. I read my Bible. Fantastic, all that fantastic. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying you're not on the right track. I'm not saying you're on the good track, bad track, whatever. No, do your thing. But I just want people who want to know how to get into the Christ conscious embodiment and having that energy. I just want to know that there's no shortcut. I want you to know there's no shortcut. It takes You have to want to work through knowing yourself, working through where your sovereignty lies, where your truth lies, where your shadow is, work through your shadow. You have to walk that path to get there. And even walking that path in itself is very, very difficult, because you must be willing to understand what you need to put down and what you need to elevate in your frequencies. So I do hold a course, and if you're interested, you know where to find me. My links are all in my description box below. I hold courses to mentor individuals one-to-one regarding this. So yes, I think I will end this video here today. I will come back in the next one talking more about whether you can practice magic when you have Christ conscious energy within you. Okay, thank you for your time. I'll see you all next